Greg Collum, I think, was the first person to put up like the super gems. Tidal wave. There's no more mega classic than tidal wave. He did humanality. You know, if anybody's done humanality, they realize like, oh my God, what an incredible climb up, you know, this cliff. It doesn't have that many great climbs on it. That's incredible.
And I had had enough experience by then to realize that, you know, there was just a wealth of untapped rock there. There's no roots up there, there's no roots over there, there's no roots there, so yeah, it was pretty easy pickings.
I mean, he was there at the right time, you know, in the right place with the right skills.
Greg was a very talented all-round climber. Not that he's not now, but I mean, you know, we're all getting older. And I really respected him for that.
You know, I really enjoyed that creative aspect of, you know, being the first guy there and being able to sort of, you know, apply your vision to what you thought, you know, the climbs could be on that crag.
You know, to me personally, Greg was just a super inspirational person. You know, he was just, look at that, let's go climb it.
Well, Siurana is certainly a great place to climb, can't deny that. You know, there's a lot of variety here. More technical, thinner, more face climbing, you know. It's pretty good quality limestone, and you get a lot of people coming here from all over the world. Well, you know, I was kind of intent on trying to find something to develop here. I mean, there's so much rock here and so many more routes still to open, so.
Just here, they're pretty good.
It was almost completely empty when I was here last time. And they start shipping water into Barcelona.
Yeah, barging it down.
Well, I used to climb ground up a lot. You know, when I first started opening routes, it was always ground up. And I did that for a decade probably. And we got to the point where, you know, we were just, you know, doing it first of all with gear, of course, and then with bolts and hand drilling, and then, you know, getting a hook and hanging on the hook. And, you know, in the end, I did that a lot. And the routes that I opened that way weren't as good as the routes that I top rope first. So, and a lot of times when you're leading and you're placing bolts on the lead, you might place a bolt because you're kind of grip because you're on the lead, and maybe it's not the best place for it, and then it's in, and then it's too late to change it. And you know, if you top rope the route first and mark it and really think about it and talk about it, you just come out with a better climb in the end.
So once you've got to the top of the crag, then you're really setting up a top rope and then climbing the route until you're clear exactly where you want the route to go, and then you have to start thinking about where the bolts need to go.
And what did you think of those bolts up there? They seem okay?
Yeah. Get the first bolt maybe as high as possible, but still make it safe for people to get to the first bolt. You're not always just necessarily going for the harder or the easier way. Sometimes you're just going for the way that the route climbs best.
I always like to get a couple opinions. I think that's the way you get the best, you know, the best product in the end. I always try to even get like a shorter person to climb it, you know, to see how it works for shorter people, because, you know, I would hate it when I was climbing, and the hardest thing was to clip the bolts.
Really, with glue-ins, you really have to place them on rappel. And you'll fill the hole for the glue with the glue gun, and then you'll put the bolt in the hole, And as you're doing that, you're working again with maybe some sort of bit of bamboo or lollipop stick type thing, and you're putting the bolt in, and you're kind of constantly working away with the stick, trying to stop the glue from oozing out, and then you're trying to smooth it over and trying to make it look nice and trying to save glue and making sure that you've got the bolt well countersunk into the hole.
All the routes I opened in Thailand, we would always top rope first. You know, sometimes each of us would top rope it twice. If there was somebody else around, we'd get them on it. You know, I think the more people you get to input on that, you know, the better it comes out in the end.
Crux move, moving back right, make that flip.
On film.
Well,
Cheers, boys.
Seneca's, you know, well known for being, you know, this bastion of traditional rock climbing. And if I'm not out there teaching climbing, I'd most likely prefer to be doing a new climb. Back then, anyway, it seems like the idea about rock climbing was to go explore places that no one had been.
Whoa!
And, you know, you got to be MacGyver. You got to be innovative. You got to use the minimal amount of gear to get the job done. You know, every bolt we've ever placed has, you know, at least on my part, we've tried to do it very thoughtfully and make sure it's not going to impact any other route, it's not going to impact anybody's experience, and it's not going to change the traditional nature of Seneca Rocks.
Well, I think it's probably fair to say Tom opened more routes than probably anybody else.
You know, probably more than anyone else. He seems to, I think, maybe spend more seasons out in Thailand putting routes up. And he comes and, you know, brings a whole bunch of, you know, younger climbers that are super keen to, you know, to get up there and put new routes up and trail bash.
The actual opening new crags,
Now he's
Tom
ready
did
to
more
drill.
than with his group that he would bring over. I mean, Tom generally being the leader. I mean, there'd be various guys that
Yeah,
came with
keep
him.
on rolling it. Holy
Including
shit,
Mark
Justin.
Miner, who was with him pretty much every time. So I should say Tom and Mark have probably developed more climbing in Thailand than anybody else.
He did so much pioneering in the beginning, and he turned on some people like me and you and got us involved and helping him out, and then learning that we wanted to go have our own adventures as well. And he definitely rubbed off a bunch on me, and he put up so many routes over there.
You know, he's like a little kind of, you know, new routing machine, you know.
And so it wasn't so much I invited people, but I just turned them on to this. Thailand, if you put up routes, you're always searching for those routes that have the unbelievable holds, you know, the perfect hold in the perfect place. And Thailand doesn't have that just every once in a while. It has it all the time. We must be, just happen to be at the exact right geologic time for climbing these cliffs.
Yeah, and also he's explored lots of new areas as well. He hasn't just kind of done that thing of picking off stuff around Tonza and Riley, you know. He's gone out to those, you know, some of those outlying islands, you know, and done stuff that's a bit more kind of committing, you know, stuff from boats and what have you, which a lot of people won't do, you know. A lot of people just will only put routes up where it's convenient, you know, whereas Tom's kind of looking for stuff that's maybe a little bit more kind of, you know, committing, a bit difficult, you know, doing routes straight off the sea.
And once you were there a day or two, you realized how outrageous this place was and how lucky you were to be there in the beginning. We're very lucky. If you've been to Thailand and climbed, you've clipped a bolt that Sam gave you.
The amount of routes that Sam, you know, has actually put up in Thailand is a huge amount of effort and investment as well, you know, not just physically but also financially. And
I think that he basically kept rock climbing alive in Southeast Asia and Thailand here.
Well, you know, next to Tom, I guess Sam probably opened more routes than anybody else.
I mean, first time I saw the Phra Nang Peninsula, even before the boat was within a mile of it, there was no way there weren't going to be hundreds of routes. You could see the height of the coconut palms and compare the rock to it from a mile away and go, oh my gosh, this stuff's like 500-600 feet high. And it's beautiful. We're very lucky, all of us, who were in on the beginning of the climbing in Thailand at a time when we had the chance to develop it, and we had the youth and we had the wherewithal to put up these climbs. We're very fortunate that all of that came together right then, early 90s, and we were available to do it. It was just serendipitous.
Sam, I met him because he would have like climbers meetings on the beach in Riley. And so we would go and he would talk about the bolting issues.
And Sam was always really keen on trying to kind of generate some sort of kind of community, you know, around sort of climbing and to try and get people working together.
Was one of the, you know, when the bolt started breaking, you know, tried to get in contact with, you know, Petzl and figure out what was happening and try to address that issue.
I was just really psyched that this guy was like taking on this huge mission to make this climbing safe.
I just said, well, okay, I've got a place going in Moab. I guess I'll go to Moab. Moab's a great place, though, for those of us that, one, live for this wacky sport that we do. There's miles and miles and miles of rock out there. And then it's also lots of room for exploring. You're not just, at times, you're not exploring some new section of unclimbed rock. You're exploring canyons that few people have been in. And, you know, the whole place it's within 10 miles of my house. I can get very remote. It's very traditional rock climbing here, just by the nature of the rock. But you know, it's not very many bolted routes. It's you know, traditional protection is generally what you use. But for that kind of climbing, it's world class. If you're a climber, this is a good place to be. Okay. So, Friends of Indian Creek is a grassroots organization with the Access Fund, and we just do we do access-oriented stuff here. And one of the things we got to deal with right now is there's so many climbers camping here that there's just too much human waste, poop. And so at the moment what we're doing is making wag bags available to people. We have these kiosks all over the place where I don't have the key with me. but we have these kiosks all over the place that everybody can go and grab their wag bags and then use this, and then you can throw the wag bag away later in the day. It makes it biodegradable and safe. You have to do this sort of stuff when there's as many users, as many climbers, users of the land as we've got now. We're about stuffed full here. Hopefully people will use them. Okay.